All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Blitz5 and hope you guys are doing well. And as a long-standing tradition on my channel, we're going to be going through the new PUBG update. This is for patch 24.2, so we're in season 24 of PUBG. And if you missed the last update, well, there was a big change to gameplay and tactical gear. Tactical gear being those items where you could forego having two weapons and actually take like an EMT bag or a drone and use that for your gameplay. And some of those, including the EMT bag, were really overpowered. So PUBG made a big change, and now they make it where when you land into the game, you can actually take a nerfed version of one of these items, 6 items to be exact, and everybody has one of those and you can't drop it. You're stuck with it, you know, between like a repair kit, EMT bag, drone, blue chip detector. And it was kind of a very big gameplay change where, you know, everybody could have a blue chip detector or an EMT bag, even though it was nerfed. So really big kind of shock to the system for us PUBG players out there. If you missed this update, if you saw it, then you're probably skipping ahead of this and not even listening. But then on the back of that, this update, the major part of it is that PUBG is actually removing the blue chip detector. And you can see this right here if we zoom in a little bit further. This has been removed. And honestly, I appreciate this change. I appreciate what PUBG was trying to do by putting the blue chip detector and a lot of stuff like this into the game. But I always say that I think a lot of us play PUBG. One of the reasons why we were into it is because it didn't have a lot of these futuristic features like Call of Duty and other games have. And having something like this really kind of eliminates the purpose of why we play PUBG. It can be frustrating not knowing where anybody is and getting camped on by people hiding in a house, but that's part of Battle Royale. You really still just have one life, even if you can come back kind of, but if you're playing solos, you have one life. That's the traditional experience. So being able to know where people are, even though there were some balances, was just a little lame. And so they removed that from the game. And there's still a spotter scope, which I don't personally love being able to track people, but it's hard to use. So it's kind of balanced. But that's kind of the biggest part of the update. And also that there's an arcade feature. They're revamping arcade, and it'll be some new stuff coming to that game mode finally after many, many years. So that's kind of it. So if you just want the pure details, that's kind of that. You could click off the video and have a great rest of your day. But if you want to kind of hear me ramble on about a few other things in here, then stick around for sure. So the update is happening. You could test it out in the test server, but there's nothing to test out. I went on, nobody was playing it, so I couldn't really test it out. And then this will be on the live PC version on July 12th, and then it'll be coming to console a week later on when? July 19th for console. Is that right? It's always Wednesday for PC and then Thursday for console. So 12th, it will go live on PC. And 20th, it will go live on console. Honestly, in these cases, PUBG shouldn't even do the test server. I feel like it kind of just confuses people, but you know, it is neither here nor there. Then going back to the update, EMT gear is being buffed back a little bit. They really nerfed this thing into the ground, which I think was fair. EMT was way too strong. They made it where really it was only giving you an advantage if you healed your teammates, and it was way less of an advantage. It went from like reviving people took 8 seconds instead of 10, when the EMT bag used to make it only take a couple seconds, like 3 or 4 seconds, whatever it was. So they really nerfed this. You couldn't heal yourself. You could only got a little bit of an advantage using boosters. It gets really into the weeds here going over the details. But basically what they did is now they sped it up a little bit for team play. So the revival now goes from 8 seconds to 7 seconds, which I think is nice. You know, just a 3-second increase, which is good. Then a little bit more of an increase using the med kit and the first aid on your teammates, which is nice as well, because there needs to be an incentive to, it's kind of a pain to heal your teammates, right? So it needs to be, at least the incentive needs to be there. They probably could have stopped there in my opinion, but then they also added back the benefit of healing for yourself with the med kit, the first aid and the bandage. But now first aiding doesn't go back to 100 health, which to me, that was just so powerful. You healed faster, revived faster, and could heal to 100 with a first aid, which was just so strong. So they've changed that and balanced it out, which is nice. And then the repair kit, which you can use to repair yourself or other teammates' items, and the whole tire thing where you could pit crew a tire. Now that goes down to 6 times. The tire isn't included in that, so that's fine. This just includes fixing a car, like the actual health of a car, fixing your helmet or fixing your vest. So I think that's fine. I've never used it that many times. And honestly, I haven't even been playing as much with these updates where I've used it that often. But it is nice. And also remember that this is only in regulars. If you play ranked, these features aren't in ranked. Then PUBG kind of gives their explanation to this, which I think is fine. They said they're trying to enhance the diversity of gameplay, but then they realize that this kind of ruins the vibe of the game. And even though they said here that in their data that the blue chip detector, they looked at who was winning all of the games and what did they pick. And the blue chip detector wasn't number one, but it was being picked like the most in solos, and was kind of becoming a frustrating experience for people because they were always wondering, when am I getting blue chipped? Is that why they killed me? And and after years of playing a game without that, it's bizarre. So they did take it out, which is nice. Now, for some reason, this is a weird statement. Look at the statement for people that are interested in PUBG. The Jammer Pack, which was previously available on all maps except for Sanhok and Pramo, will now be spawning on these maps following the update. I read this comment when I woke up this morning and saw the patch notes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Jammer Pack debuted on, I think, the remastered version of Sanhok, which is no longer in the game anymore. But PUBG is just so confusing. Recently, they added Jammer Pack into esports, so I just assumed it's on all maps now. It's on Erangel, it's on Miramar now, it's on all of the major maps, and it's in esports. It started on Sanhok, so why isn't it on all maps? So when they made that change, they took it off Sanhok, the original map it debuted on, or maybe it hasn't been on Sanhok since they brought back the old version of Sanhok. The point is, if you're correcting me down in the comments below, you're listening here being like, he's got this wrong, is that I'm fairly certain it debuted on Sanhok. And secondly, this is why PUBG is a cluster F, because they keep changing things back and forth. They don't kind of stick with some of the decisions. And then also the biggest thing that I think everyone's been talking about for years, and it's getting kind of, honestly, I'm tired of talking about it, and I think so is everybody else, is that the content needs to be consistent across all the maps. It's fine if you have a gun on a certain map. That's cool. Have a location specific gun on that map. I think that's pretty cool. But features that really affect the game, because guns are a big part of the game, but having a SCAR or a QBZ variant, a SCAR variant or a 5.56 variant on a gun per map doesn't really change the game. As long as there's 2 5.56 guns or 3 5.56 guns and 7.62 guns and sniper rifles, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, right? Whether you're shooting a Mosin or a K9, they're fairly similar overall, right, on the grand scheme of things. But little other things like this, like what's in the game, needs to be consistent across the board because it's just getting way too confusing. But we've all said this 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, so it's not up to us at this point. It's up to PUBG, and that's on them. So then we have the arcade, which, it's funny. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. There's already a lot of comments on this. I quickly streamed for like an hour today just looking at the PC version. And there's already a couple of comments about people laughing about how this was so late in the game. But to me, I'm still a fan of better late than never. They're improving the UI. They're making it where you actually get benefits for playing. You can get contraband coupons and some rewards, which is cool. And then all of the new temporary modes will go here instead of being like temporary in the main menu. There'll be more kind of like long-standing modes that'll be available in arcade mode. These are additional queues, which PUBG was always worried about. But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of better to have it than not to have it, and some exciting stuff that they can bring into the game, which is cool. And now there's more information, an end page match, because at the end of arcade, sometimes it just ends, or these temporary modes, you couldn't see any of your stats. And I think they're mentioning here that you'll be able to see some of this. Again, I couldn't test this out because nobody was on the test server, unfortunately. I tried, but it didn't work out. Here's kind of what this will look like as you can kind of claim some contraband coupons as you play, which is cool. You will no longer get BP for playing in the arcade mode. And there's also a new medal for playing the arcade and accomplishing missions and completing missions and all that stuff, which is cool. Okay, we can continue on. No replays for this. So some information about that. Now there's going to be kind of like a history record of your training stuff, which is cool. Honestly, sometimes I forget this is in the game. It was so exciting when it came out, and then, I just forget about it. But honestly, if you are trying to improve your game, this is the best way to do it. And this is cool that they'll show the kind of history of the aim and the sound lab. And this is a really good way to improve your game if you haven't spent time doing it. I honestly might go back and do this soon because I haven't been playing as much over the past month or two, and I could probably use some aim training to get back on my feet for PUBG. which is worth it. So that's cool. I like that a lot. And then, I forgot to mention that this is probably the next biggest part of the update, probably arguably maybe bigger than arcade mode. In the short term, it means really nothing. But in the long term, this could have a bigger effect on the game. So PUBG has a reputation system in the game that really means nothing. But now they're finally adding where after a game, you can give somebody a rating. And this has been a thing in a lot of PC games for a while, including League of Legends. And it's actually works pretty well in League of Legends because you can kind of, you get a lot of cool bonuses and emblems. I think you can actually get like something on your account in League of Legends for getting certain things, for like being a good communicator. So kind of incentivize it. Like you want to be the person that gets voted on your team to be a good player, right? So PUBG is now adding this where you can vote if someone was a communication specialist, if they were the fearless leader or a skill master. And then PUBG is going to be giving out a little bit of rewards, I think, for this at the end. I don't know exactly how it's working. I was kind of scrolling through some of it. I know that initially, as soon as you hit the reward, the level, they'll give you this reward. So for hitting level 3, you get 10 tokens once. Level 4, you get a one-time 15 token artisan tokens. And level 5, you get 20 artisan tokens. Again, just one time, and those are the tokens you can use to buy those special skins in the artisan section of the skin area. You know what I'm talking about? So those are just one-time rewards. But then for staying in level 3, 4, 5, you get a maintenance reward. So you get, like, for example, if you stay in 5, you'll get 5 supply loot caches and then 1 artisan token for staying in 5. And that's like every week or something like that. So one-time reward and then maintenance rewards granted every 7 days. So every 7 days to get 1 token. I only have like 10 tokens. I've been playing the game all the time. I'm a partner. I don't get the tokens. So getting 1 token a week is actually pretty sweet. If you're in level 5, that's a pretty good incentive to be level 5. And who knows if they'll give out other rewards like at the end of a season or at the end of the year or stuff like that. They could always kind of go forward with that, which is kind of cool. So that's nice. Obviously, if you're playing with your buddies, maybe you rotate it around or something like that. But if you're playing with randoms and stuff like that, it's nice. It's a nice thing to do. Kind of incentivizes that. And then on the back of that, PUBG's also doing additional. Is it featured here? I guess it's not a big tab on this section, but they've also added in more ways to report people, more specific reporting measures, which is really nice, on top of the complement feature. So now you can do more things in reporting people, be more specific, and hopefully that will help PUBG in determining, issues in the game and stuff like that. So I think that's good. Again, this should have been in the game years ago. Like a long time ago, would have definitely helped with a lot of like toxic issues. And this is something that's been in other games, and PUBG has often copied League of Legends for ranked and stuff like that. So a little bit unfortunate, but you know what? I'm still under the impression that better late than never for the game and for people coming back. The hope is still that if you haven't played in a year, 2 or 3 years, that you come back and you see all this stuff and you're like, wow, there is a lot new. For the people playing month to month, day to day, you're like, oh, it's kind of late, but for people who haven't played in a while, they'll think the game has been nicely updated, which it has. If you think about it, PUBG gets an update every single month for years. So absolutely incredible. Kudos to PUBG for keeping up. It's a ton of work. So while I may voice some of my dissatisfaction, it's only because I love PUBG. And we obviously just want to see it be popular. I would love PUBG to be like a top 5 game. So that's, we're passionate about it. But kudos to the team for all the work that they do and all that stuff. I wish I mentioned this earlier because honestly, sometimes as gamers, we're a little short-sighted with how much work goes into this on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis. So kudos to them. Now, this is kind of nice. Finally, now you can have preset slots is just coming to the game for people that are part of Battlegrounds Plus. So if you owned PUBG, if you paid for it, you're automatically part of Battlegrounds Plus. And then if you want to access ranked and some of the extra features, you have to pay, I think, like a one-time fee to have all of these. So I would imagine that most of us playing on PC and console are probably Battlegrounds Plus. Like if you're a big PUBG player, if you're new, then you probably aren't. But if you're a longtime player, then now you'll have customized presets permanently, not part of the game. I think they're going to be giving people back Gcoin and BP for if you purchase them in-game. And now you can just save presets for your character, which is nice because it's, we're playing adult dress up here in a video game. But, I do personally like to change my outfit in-game from time to time. And it's a pain having to go through the menu system and find all the pieces. So it'd be nice to just be able to save presets that you could save and switch back and forth, save a lot of time. So that's huge. And finally, they're doing that in the game. You know, not absolutely huge, but these little things go a long way for a lot of people. Just little frustrations start to add up. And that's definitely been the case with PUBG over the years, I think, for a lot of people. Then here, the new workshop. This is like what you can use your artisan tokens on. Again, I've never gotten one of these artisan things yet, and there's some cool skins in here. These are a little strange. This one's kind of cool, like a nuclear vibe going on here with that, which I actually like that. That's pretty sweet. Kind of reminds me of some old school gaming stuff going on there. Don't exactly know what's going on with this lady, but I saw some people said they already liked it. I would definitely go for that. I like that mask, like I said. So that's kind of cool. And again, you can get one artisan token if you keep your reputation at 5 a week. I think those cost about like 100 though each. Yeah, they do. They cost 100. So it's 100 weeks, which is 2 years. But hey, free, I guess. So, and there's some bug play fixes, some changes here. You know, typical stuff. I'm just kind of, I scrolled through before. The one big thing I saw was that recently it kind of went viral on social media that if you put a pan over a nade or a C4, it actually blocked all of the damage. PUBG never made a statement about it, but they have now fixed the issue, allowing players to neutralize explosive damage from grenade, C4, sticky bombs by throwing a melee weapon. So to me, it almost made sense for the nades and stuff like that, but clearly the C4, if it goes through buildings, it should go through your pan damage. And that obviously was a mistake. So they fixed that, which was kind of silly. It was kind of a fun little bug. You know, and who knows how many people didn't realize that was a thing in the past and were wondering why their grenade didn't go off. And it's kind of crazy that it took this long. So many of us test out weird bugs and theories like this. I myself have tested out so many theories that this one never really went viral as a thing until 6 years into the game, which is kind of amazing. And speaking of that, I wanted to show you guys that PUBG actually sent me something really cool. All the partners, I guess, got this print, 6-year anniversary print. I haven't opened it up yet, so the plastic's still on it. But this is a print, like a metallic print. It's not super heavy duty metal, maybe like aluminum. But this is the logo for 6 years. Kind of hard to show without like showing off the lights. But I really like this logo, the graffiti logo. And I'm very thankful that PUBG sent this to me. And, you know, the people that work at PUBG are amazing. I've had the pleasure to meet a lot of them. And then also I was able to visit the U.S. office in California. I think there's a video of that on my channel. But people there are just so great. And this is a really nice surprise. They just don't need to do stuff like this. And they do. And there's so many partners out there. So they have to send so many of these out. And just amazing that they think of us and do that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I'm just really grateful for them. It was a really, really nice surprise. So big kudos to PUBG. Big thank you to them. And then also, if you're still here, maybe you're more of a fan of the channel. So I figured I would just address you guys that I haven't been making as much PUBG content lately. My last video is actually the patch notes video for 24.1. Because I just haven't been as diehard into the game as always. I just haven't been going crazy about all the leaks and new stuff like that. To me, it's a lot of more of the same. And, you know, I still love PUBG and I get hyped about the game, but it's just not the same for me where I get as excited for every little detail thing coming out. And sometimes I don't love promoting all of the leaked content. I have in the past, so I can't say that I don't, but sometimes to me, I like to wait until it's officially released by PUBG or they send us stuff. Sometimes being a partner, they'll let us know that something's coming down the pipeline, but we can't talk about it. Sometimes they tell us something's coming and we can talk about it. You know, I've had to sign NDAs in the past and stuff like that. And other times they just let us know. So I try to kind of wait now because sometimes I think Wacky Jackie sent out a tweet about this recently that sometimes things get a little misrepresented, you know, or people over speculate and then are disappointed when it's not something grandiose. Like the other day, I think for Halo, people thought a Battle Royale was coming out because some news thing and it had nothing to do with that. Right. People just get overly excited for something that's coming. Then, you know, it's not as big. So that's part of it a little bit. And then also I've been doing some other events. I was recently hosting a $5,000 PUBG tournament for the top NA and EU console teams over on Twitch. So I've been doing that over the past month. It was a month-long event, and that was pretty much like a full-time kind of thing doing that during the days and also on some weekends. So that had me playing the game a little bit less. So I just wasn't focused on every little detail. But, I'm not stopping with YouTube or anything like that. I just am kind of picking and choosing the content a little bit more out there as PUBG is in its 6th year. Things aren't as, the viewer base and player base isn't as big for PUBG. Obviously, there's still a lot of us diehard fans out there. So keeping kind of the train rolling, but things will obviously be a little different going forward. And so that's that. Cat in a Hat. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out in the video. Just listen to us talk about some PUBG stuff. I hope you guys have fun in the battlegrounds. It will be interesting with this, the blue chip detector being gone, but it's just not a huge change. So PUBG will kind of be the same going forward. And there's also a little bit of a lull that happens after these huge updates. The beginning of this year, PUBG really came in swinging with so many great changes. And obviously, you can't keep that pace on a month-to-month basis, as we mentioned before. So then you get hit with updates like this, and you're a little like, man, I almost want to see more. You get kind of addicted to the bigger surprise updates. But that's kind of that. Summertime is usually a little bit slower for gaming, but I hope you guys are enjoying fragging out. It's always nice to game on like a summer night after you come inside from being outside all day. To me, that's classic gaming time. And hope to see you guys on the battlegrounds on YouTube or on Twitch. I've kind of been streaming on YouTube more lately, but I'll probably be back on Twitch sometime next week. So much love out there. Take it easy, guys. Be safe. And see you guys in the next video. Adios.